all of the cozy winter vibes. Basically, I'm too lazy to put on real clothes anymore, and I also realized there's no video to go up tomorrow, so time to film. Anyway, I guess this will be a coffee and cauldrons, but I'm drinking water, and we'll talk about, oh my goodness, really, my cat? It's been a day. It has been a day. I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with the darkness and going into it and feeling into the vibes and all of that stuff. So in case you were missing some of my other videos that happened on my channel back in October, in the month of October, I was kind of challenging myself to feel more into the dark as an energy type, as an actual thing, with like literally experiencing total darkness as much as possible and what that does, as well as exploring the concept of the dark in the astral and other things of this nature. Basically anything that had to do with the dark energy vibe, like what was it, what's there, can I poke at it, can I play with it, what's it? So a lot of that consisted of me meditating in total darkness as much as possible, which mostly happened in the early hours. So I would wake up before sunrise or like in the middle of the night if I naturally woke up then, and I would just kind of sit and listen and explore and feel what other senses are picking up, and like listen to like the dead silence of what is total darkness and quiet at night. And beyond that, I like just continued to recognize when total darkness was happening, which is not a whole lot. Like, we have lights and phones that produce light and electronics that produce light, and so there was so much of it that gets just entirely reduced. Like, you know, there's not a lot of time in modern life now where we are totally put in the dark, where we understand the concept of not being able to see, or even just perceiving shadows. Like, that is like just, it's a thing that we can always do. We can always have the ability to turn on a light somewhere, to shed light on something, to see something. And in the astral, it was interesting because it's funny how I always start these things going like, this will be a fun challenge and it'll be something totally new. And then no matter what, it seems like it brings up something from my past where I was like, oh hey, that was a thing. Whether it was like a dream I had or something weird that happened. But one of the things that I suddenly remembered that I used to do back before, when I was exploring the astral, but I didn't know it was called the astral or what witchcraft was or any of that stuff, I would go on certain dreams when I was sleeping, not conscious, and I would have nightmares. And one of the things that used to happen was as the trigger point of me kind of taking over and like being in control of the dream suddenly while I'm still sleeping. There's a word for this. In that process of that, me going to total darkness, and it was something that I always found very curious in a sense, because I don't know, some people always seem like things are dark or the unknown. All of these things are always cast with such a negative light, and I don't know, a lot of my family members had expressed that, whether it be my grandmother or other people, or you just hear it, you know, from like culture in general. Like, people talk about the dark being scary or bad or the unknown, and so we have to fear it because we don't know what's there. And it was always such a thing of safety for me. Like, the minute it was dark outside in the nightmare, it always was better. And like, if it went to total darkness, like, I knew I was safe. Like, it wasn't like I was put in a scary room and like things could still get at me. Like, darkness meant, oh no, I'm safe, like I'm enveloped. And I specifically remembered, I'm still terrified of clowns. I hate them, I don't like them, they're weird, they creep me out. No thank you. And I used to be really scared of clowns to the point that I would like dream that like it himself is like on my neighborhood street when I'm like 10 years old and like coming at me in like fog and mist and just like staring at me with this creepy red balloon. From the 80s, yeah, too. We're not talking about this new revamp. I'm talking like original creepy clown dude. But finally I had one of these weirdly weird dreams. You know, in the movie It, where, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a scene in that where little kids are down in the sewer and the clown is there. They're trying to say, you're not real, you don't exist, and the clown hands just go like voop, 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 voop on the kid's shoulders. That always creeped me the fuck out when I was younger. I was like, oh no, because if you turn around you see him but he's touching and you too, no thank you. Oh, And so in the nightmare I'm seeing the clown, but suddenly on my shoulders I feel fa-thump, fa-thump on my shoulders. But it was the first, I didn't feel scared though, it was very weird, and suddenly out of nowhere I got enveloped by darkness. It was just like, and like, it's dark now. And I just remember feeling entirely safe. Like, I remember feeling like the hands almost were like claw-like. Like, I didn't look down and look at them or anything. Like, I just felt like the claws, and I felt the really long hands, and I felt all of that. But it was like, and then I'm enveloped in darkness, and I knew I was safe. So as I was exploring it, it was funny how at first I felt nervous, but that feeling of safety eventually kind of encapsulated into every time I explored the dark. And then I remember I went to the astral and I was like, let's go to that place. Let's go to that place in my dream where there is total darkness and where I know there's other things happening and where things are going on and I just can't see. It's just, no. And I always felt nothing for a second. I'd feel like a breeze of wind, or I'd hear whispers, or, you know, things in the distance. I would just like stand still in this like place in total darkness and like just kind of wait and see what would happen. And there'd be whispers and things poking and things looking, and like every once in a while I would like feel something like grab me, like kind of grab my arm or grab my hand or grab my leg or something. It kind of freaked me out for a second, and then 2 seconds later I would reach out my arm as if to grab back, and so like I would feel like something like grab my wrist, like what was it, like, you know, and like how you're supposed to grab people if you really want to hold on to them, you're not supposed to grab like here, you're supposed to grab here on your wrist. So something like I was like holding out my hand and something like went like this with longer, like it felt like more like claw fingers, kind of like the things that were on my shoulders, and it was just this, and I grabbed back and we just like held there for a few minutes, and then I just felt this uncurling, and then I uncurled at the same time, and it just kind of went away. And it was this very weird thing where it was almost like a greeting or like a checking, like almost like a, ha, I got you, and I'm like, I got you too, and like, oh, okay, I guess we'll leave you alone then. It was very, very interesting, the exploration of that. And honestly, it's probably one of the few times that I have done something and, you know, very committed within magic, and I haven't come out of it with a solid, I don't know, revelation or viewpoint of something. Honestly, I wanted to explore the dark and see what I can uncover, and mostly what I found are just a lot of more things I'm kind of more curious about. I'm interested by this idea of like, oh, darkness and safety, and also this idea of, oh, my idea of being in control of my dreams and of being protected in my dreams is something big and scary enveloping me in total darkness, and suddenly I'm safe. Like, that is very, that's a weird concept, but exploring that and seeing like, why is my subconscious doing that? Is that another entity possibly reaching out to me through something? Like, what was that? Is another exploration thing I want to do. The idea that they're like in the astral, going to a place of total darkness and knowing there could be things creeping around, and not knowing, like, are you one of my deities? Are you Loki just being weird? Are you something else? Are you other demons? Are you other spirits? Are you an entity I've never even experienced before? Like, what is this? And like, but feeling like oddly comfortable with it. Like, it was the weirdest feeling to just know that, like, it was the first time I felt content. And by that I mean, like, I was there and I was exploring, but I didn't feel the need to continue, like, past the point where I was. Like, I was just very like, I'm here, I'd be nervous for a second, and then suddenly I'd feel comfortable and I would relax and do it. Feeling the energy, feel like what was vibing, what's flowing around, taking notice of things moving around. And I was comfortable just to stand there instead of continuing to deep dive in a sense, which I find very interesting, but it brings up a lot of other questions for me. And also, like, I don't have really like, there's no big revelation with it. It was a very interesting experiment. I'm definitely way more attuned now to the amount of extra light I bring into something when I necessarily don't need it, aka like cell phones when I'm about to go to sleep, or how much light do I need. I feel like almost like a need to memorize the space of my room again in the dark, so I don't have to turn on lights in like the middle of the night. Like, I feel like it's almost integral to some sort of experience that I am in the dark, and that I know where I am and feel comfortable in the dark. Like, it's something I want to experience more and continue to do. But other than that, I really don't have much on it. Anyway, comment down below. Have you guys explored the pure concept of darkness and the astral and magic in the day-to-day actual mundane world? How do you feel about it? Was it something that was advantageous for you? Or did you come out of it just as confused as I was? Or were you kind of like, yeah, sure, why not? All of that in the comment section down below. And I make new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And beyond that, there's something extra special. My podcast will be going live next Wednesday. finally. I know I've been kind of like bringing it up and mentioning it ever since someone gave me the idea about it, but I got a mic and I've recorded a bunch of episodes and I'm really, really excited. So on the Wednesday video, not Monday, Wednesday, on the Wednesday video that goes live on this YouTube channel, I'll mention it up again, and down below in that link will be a link to the podcast where you can go listen and download to the first episode of Coffee and Cauldrons. And anyway, other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.